Hey guys, it's Captain Harris. Welcome back to the channel. So we have not had a Maiden news chat in a while, have we?
No, and all of a sudden they've just been hitting us bang, bang, bang with all these kind of surprising news stories.
Well, there's been stuff coming out, like the book and things like that, but nothing like really interesting. I feel like we can have our little podcast style episodes on. So it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of Maiden news to chat about.
Yes. So of course I think the main thing that everyone's talking about right now is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction that is finally going to take place with Maiden in it.
Yeah. So, shall I read their little tiny press release? They didn't really say much about it. But...
No, well, wasn't there like a thing from Rod on the website?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it says, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation have announced Iron Maiden as one of its inductees for 2026. Quote from Rod Smallwood on behalf of Iron Maiden: "We'd like to thank the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for including us and former members who are all part of our story in the 2026 roll call of inductees. Iron Maiden have always been about our relationship with our fans above anything else, including awards and industry accolades. However, having said that, it's always nice to be recognized and honored for any achievements within the music industry too. It also seems appropriate for the band to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year as we continue our 50th anniversary celebrations with our Run for Your Lives World Tour, visiting the Americas and beyond. We would also like to congratulate our fellow 2026 inductees and extend our gratitude, as ever, to our fans for their loyalty, perseverance, and support for over 50 years now. See you all somewhere on tour."
Iron Maiden have a controversial history with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's almost gotten old to the point where, it happens every year. So every year Maiden fans are just like, I hate the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's not even rock and roll anymore. And now it's like Maiden is here.
Well, it's like they pissed people off already this year by not including Blaze, and I don't even understand the reasoning behind why they initially did that, because I looked it up and like the only criteria has to be you released a song 25 years ago. It used to be 26 years ago, but now it's 25 years ago. So what was their beef with Blaze Bayley?
They're omitting of Blaze. It could have even just been whoever was in charge of doing the Iron Maiden research.
Yeah.
It just went right over their head that Blaze was on a couple albums.
Like, I just don't understand. Like, that's just kind of rude.
I mean, and again, not knocking any other members that have been on a record, but like, if Dennis Stratton is in there, Blaze Bayley is in there. He's been on more albums than Dennis Stratton, and he was on there, so...
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't really get that. But at least the pressure from, the fan base.
That actually tipped some people and myself off when we heard that Blaze Bayley was added to the roster of Maiden names that could be inducted. It's like, why would they even do that unless they're getting inducted?
Yeah.
So there must be some communication between band and the Rock Hall, like way prior to them actually accepting it, so they can prepare these statements and make sure they have all the people correct that they want inducted. Yeah. So I'm sure they knew probably a couple months in advance.
Yeah. But, certain members of Iron Maiden have been a bit outspoken about their thoughts on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is it a significant member?
Dave Murray?
Dave Murray?
Can you imagine?
I don't like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. No, they're not even rock and roll anymore, are they?
No, it would be Bruce Dickinson, and there was an article somebody shared on Reddit from 2018 during his book tour.
Yes.
So let me just read this little article to you, because it makes me laugh.
And this isn't it. Like, it's been years.
Oh yeah,
and years
this is just like a documented case with a quote.
This is probably one of the more recent times.
So this is 2018. It says, Iron Maiden fans have wondered for years why the legendary metal act has not been inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, let alone nominated, and now the iconic band singer Bruce Dickinson has lambasted the institution and organizers, calling the Rock Hall a complete load of bollocks. Going on to say, while at a recent stop on his spoken word tour in Melbourne, Australia, Dickinson was asked if he thought Maiden should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to which he replied, absolutely. He then added, I actually think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is an utter and complete load of bollocks, to be honest with you. He went on to say, it's run by a bunch of sanctimonious bloody Americans who wouldn't know rock and roll if it hit them in the face. They need to stop taking Prozac and start drinking fucking beer.
Brilliant statement. Do you think he still stands by that statement?
See, this is where I'm a little disappointed, because the band is in Australia during the induction
It's
of this.
such a cop-out.
I know.
That they're in Australia, because this would be the best, like... This
Will
could
they,
be,
won't they, you know?
It could have been, like, Ricky Gervais speaking at the Oscars level of, like, just controversial as it gets. Of course, they probably wouldn't do that, but I don't even know if Bruce would show up.
Well, that's the thing.
Luckily, the band gets out of it anyway.
That's the thing. It's like it's this point. It's like, oh, people waited this long, and he's talked this much smack about it. It's like now there's not even an option for them to go.
But of course, the band and management, preparing for this induction, it always feels like, when you're snubbed, it's just like, oh,
yeah.
But then as soon as you're in, it's just like, thank you. Me? Really?
Which I know not all the members are on the same page as
No.
Bruce, but, like, being the front man, it's like, when you say things like that, it does kind of, like, speak.
It does tend to, like...
the image of the band.
It tends to, like, represent what the band thinks.
Yeah.
But, of course, it's just one person.
But I know that Rod came out with a statement for Billboard when asked about whether or not they would be there, because they're playing... I forget the exact dates, but it's like the 13th they're playing a show, then they have the date of the Rock Hall off, and then the next day is a show, so there's literally no way they could make it without canceling shows. And he says, we would like to assure all our fans in Australasia that the Australian and New Zealand dates will remain unaffected. Smallwood adds, and we look forward to bringing the Run for Your Lives tour to them on the penultimate stop of our 50th anniversary celebrations. So, he confirmed, like, obviously they're not doing that. I think they'll hopefully send Nico, because I think he would appreciate it.
Well, Nico is in the States.
Yeah.
And he's the best, like...
personality.
He's the best person to throw up there.
Put somebody in an Eddie suit, go up there with him, get the award. He'll
Send
love
Blaze.
it.
Blaze could go.
We'd all love to see him do that, too, because, we want to still see him involved with band stuff. So,
I mean, this is the perfect job for Nico McBrain. Just send him up there. He'll knock everybody out of the way as he takes the stage, and he'll tell everybody what he really thinks, And
then he'll go off on a tangent, telling stories.
Yeah, he'll tell everybody on all the people in all the celebrities on the floor on their tables. They'll get to hear about the story from 1984 of like how Mission from Airy happened. They're all just like, what is he talking about? Who is this guy?
As a fan, I've never really put much weight or care into who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I think Phil Collins is in this round too, isn't he?
I don't know.
I think so. I think I've been seeing him in all the pictures. I didn't really read the articles or anything that much, because it doesn't mean anything to me, and it never really has.
Well, this is where Steve has been very consistent whenever asked about
we don't do it for the awards.
Yeah, we don't do it for the awards. And he said that like a million times every time they get an award.
Like even when he's not asked about awards, he's like, yeah, well, we don't do it for the awards.
I know, it's like people are trying to throw treasures at them, and every time Steve is just like, we don't want it. We don't care. But...
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I was hoping that if it ever happened, that it would be during a time that they could go. Because it's like, I wanted to see if given the option, would they or wouldn't they? Well, not even play, but just attend. Because, I mean, Bruce's comments were pretty brash.
Yes. Like,
they were brash to the point of where I would not expect him to go at all, but...
Yeah, but that's when Blaze could take the spot. Okay, no. They wouldn't play without Bruce, but, in this imagination world which we live in, because obviously, Judas Priest got in, and they played with KK again for the first time on that stage, and that was super cool and different. But it would be interesting to see what Maiden would do if they said, okay, we'll play. Like, I would assume Nico has to play with them and all that. So.
I feel like they wouldn't play, but they might show up.
They might just send a video. Imagine just a video comes up on screen.
It's just Simon.
Simon. It's Simon first.
They make Simon too.
And it's like, thank you so much for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they're like, he's not even on the list. He's not even being inducted. And then it zooms out and Steve is like, cheers. Cheers, thanks.
We didn't do it for the awards.
We didn't do it for the awards, but cheers, thanks. And I mean, that's about all we got on Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, what do you guys think, first of all?
Yeah.
Because it's just been such a long time coming. I mean, they've been eligible since, like, the early 2000s.
Yeah. Like, obviously, good for them. Like, I'm
Obviously
sure,
well deserved.
of course, and I'm sure that, some of the members who might care more than Bruce are excited to have been considered and getting this award, but, just as a fan, it's just, I'm not too bothered. I'm not too bothered either way.
It's just kind of funny.
There's so few metal acts in the Rock Hall anyway that it's just they don't define anything, so...
No, I mean, what's in there? Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Metallica.
Yeah.
I think it might be the 4th actual heavy metal band. Yep. I might be wrong, but very few actual metal bands are in there.
Yeah.
But either way, congrats to Maiden for finally making it in. You're finally relevant. But there is other things to talk about.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a weird one. That's a bit more positive information. I wouldn't say this is negative per se, but I wanted to talk about this because
before we start, this is not positive or negative. This is just doing what Captain Harris does, and it's obsessing and connecting the dots to figure out what the future holds for Iron Maiden.
And what the hell is going on.
Everybody has their own idea of what's happening after this current Run for Your Lives tour ends. And I think we're starting to figure out the path, in our opinion.
Well, I don't know if we're figuring out the path, but I think we're all quite confused and in the mist and fog and rain.
In the mist and fog, I see a path that is looking more likely to head down, based on evidence.
So, it is currently Sunday, April 19th, and the past weekend, not this past weekend that we're on now, but the weekend before was the Monsters of Rock cruise. In fact, I think it was all week. I think it was one of those week-long cruises. And Eddie Trunk, everybody's favorite interviewer.
Eddie Trunk sits down with Steve Harris.
In front of a crowd.
In front of a live audience and does an interview. It's not very long, and it left a lot of Maiden fans that read and listened to it thinking, what the heck is going on?
It was one of the weirdest interviews with Steve.
Ever.
Not because of Eddie, but because of Steve's tone of voice and the way he was talking that I have ever heard. Ever.
And this is, a lot of you have probably already read this, or you're about to hear this for the first time, and everybody knows that in the past, for decades and decades, Steve has been the Rock in Iron Maiden. Whenever he's interviewed, it's usually just the same kind of talking points every time for the last 30, 40 years. But this time, he seemed a bit distressed about the current situation. So
openly
and
it's weird because I don't ever really remember in recent history Steve being this open and negative.
Bruce will have a complaint every now and again, maybe Nico every now and again.
But it just in general, it wasn't a very positive interview.
No.
There really wasn't much to be oh wow, yeah, But
it got us thinking about previous interviews with with other members.
Previous members. Yeah. Well, one of them is kind of previous, but
Dennis Wilcock. Yeah. Let's just talk about what he said, and then we can kind of unwrap it.
So, unfortunately, the audio interview itself is locked behind a paywall on SiriusXM. I did end up hearing it through some link somebody shared on the forum, but I don't think that I am allowed to share audio from a paid-for interview on here, so I am just going to read the Brave Words transcript from this interview. It doesn't have everything.
This is how I read it to begin with, too. So
yeah, and, it's one thing, I read the interview, and I'm like, oh, wow, the tone behind this is super weird. I'd love to hear the interview. And then somebody's like, here's the interview. And I listened to it to see, maybe the tone was different.
Nope.
No, the tone was not different. So it says, Steve Harris recently spoke with host Eddie Trunk on SiriusXM's Trunk Nation. During the interview, Steve talks about Iron Maiden possibly taking a break next year and doing shows with British Lion in the meantime. He also addresses the Iron Maiden documentary, Burning Ambition, and claims it would have been different if it was done directly by them. Steve Harris on British Lion shows and Iron Maiden possibly taking a break. Steve Harris says, obviously, Maiden comes first. Always has done, always will. But whenever there's a bit of time, we can go out and do some other shows. I think next year seems like Maiden, they're not going to do anything at all next year, really. So I might go out and do some festivals next year, perhaps with British Lion in these European festivals. But that's just, it's early days yet. I haven't really gone through it or what we're doing. I just want to make, when I get back to the lads, Maiden lads that is, I just want to make sure that is what everyone wants, to take the year off. It seems like it is, but I just want to double check that everyone's up for that. I mean, I wasn't particularly, so, we'll see if there's any others. They've already, announced that 2027 is off. And all these press releases are it's the last time you can see Maiden until, at least 2028 for the Nebworth thing, which, granted, that wouldn't change things if they played some dates in 2027 and didn't play the UK, but they've said they're not touring in 2027 a lot.
I mean, it's old news now. This is what everyone's been speculating on for a while, is are they making a new album?
Right.
Or whatever.
What's going on?
And because previously, for decades now, they've always had a long-term plan, and they know what's happening. And I think it's starting to really look like they don't have a plan right now.
I feel like they must, and I know that, I believe it was one of the recent fan club magazines, they'd say they plan every 2 years out, 2 years out, and 2 years out from now is 2028. And, I don't doubt that they have shows planned, but it's at this point, would you not have 2027 planned? It's going to chat with the other members to make sure we're taking 2027 off. When the fans have been told that, I'm sure, the crew has been told, obviously the band's not touring 2027, so, if you need to go take a job with another band or take the year off, everybody's probably been told already,
Yeah, Dave's gonna take a job with another band for that year.
Not him, the crew!
He is the crew! They're all the crew. It seems like Steve and management may not be on the exact same page.
And the rest of the band, really.
And I know that most people think, well, Steve is management. Steve's the boss. But clearly, there's been an announcement. Everybody knows nothing's happening in 2027. And then Steve comes out and is like, well, I want to do shows, but everyone else doesn't want to do anything at all.
They're just saying, I want to make... I just want to make, when I get back to the lads, Maiden lads that is, I just want to make sure that is what everyone wants, to take the year off.
So the plan is to take a year off, which it sounds like the rest of the guys wanted this, or at least some of them.
The crew or management, anybody.
Anybody. But to have that in the works, everybody knows that's happening, the audience knows it's happening, and then now his plan is to go into the rehearsal room for Run for Your Lives, which is very soon, and say, hey guys, I know that you've all planned for a year off, but you want to tour again?
I just don't even understand, where they would go, because this year is packed.
60 shows?
It's nearly 60 shows, and it's in, most of the markets.
I mean, they will have done Run for Your Lives in all major markets.
Europe will be 2 years in a row, so there's no doing Europe again next year.
No.
North and South America, very expensive, so people, if they played here again, will probably be like, well, I spent $200 on a ticket last year, so...
And we would have to assume that if they were to just spring a tour out of thin air, let's say Steve is like, do you all want to tour again next year, another 60 shows? And they were like, actually, yes. Mm-hmm. What do you think that tour is going to be?
Run for Your Lives.
More Run for Your Lives.
And it would be kind of cruel to the fans, too, because they clearly put, the no touring in 2027 thing in there to, tell people, hey, this is your last chance for at least a couple of years to see Iron Maiden. So, it does help ticket sales if people know that, hey, they're not going to be around for a while. If you just sprung a tour on people after they're like, oh, well, maybe I should travel to a show and, spend a little extra time and money to get there since I don't know when they'll be back.
And didn't he say something about, he...
Oh, that wasn't it. There's plenty more I haven't read.
Let's keep going. Keep it rolling.
Eddie Trunk. So, it sounds to me like you're a guy that always wants to keep working. Steve Harris. Well, I just think, at our age, I think you just gotta keep going. I'm scared to stop, if I'm honest. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know if I think it looks like it's going to be a year off. But it's been put out in press release after press release and reported on that 2027 is off. So I don't know why he says, I think it looks like it's going to be a year off. Right. If it's already kind of it's already been told to the public, it's going to be a year off. Yes. Other than I don't know if that also means writing an album. I don't. I think it's about the touring, because this is what he's saying is I think you just got to keep going. I'm scared to stop. I don't think that's we need to write an album for, a month. That's just a month out of the year. He just wants to tour indefinitely, really.
And on top of that, it shows that, on the previous thing he said, that they don't want to do. The plan is to not do anything at all with Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
So that, unfortunately, for everybody that was hoping for a new album, it kind of nixes that idea as well.
Yeah. Eddie Trunk says, well, that's the beauty of having another band. Steve says, yeah, exactly. Eddie says, if everybody's on the same page, everybody can do their own thing, recharge, and you come back. Steve says, we can't do loads because a couple of the guys have got other jobs, you know? So it's it's one of those situations where we can do bits and pieces, and I have to work out and get the time. Steve Harris on the Iron Maiden, should I?
Hold on.
Okay.
And that's referring to, well, why can't you just tour more with British
Yeah.
Lion? And it's because the other guys in British Lion have jobs and they have
Mm-hmm.
to get time off and stuff. So there's no full replacement for Steve
No.
if he wants to tour. He could do some. He mentioned some festival
Yeah.
dates potentially, but it sounds like he would rather play with Maiden.
Yeah.
If given the opportunity. So there's definitely some kind of back and forth of Steve wants to keep Maiden on the road
Yeah.
next year. What kind of tour, we don't know. I mean, it would have to just be kind of the similar to
Well,
what
it would have to be the same because they plan everything so far in advance that, like, it would have to just be, like, fine, we'll go back on our word and we'll do shows. But there's no time. There's not really time unless you just, like, threw some images up on a screen for a new song that, like, weren't really animated or anything, which they could do, but it would have to be just,
Yeah.
like...
And when we get into other interviews that we're going to go over, I'm starting to really think that, well, this year off has been planned for a long time. And at the same time, I think the screens that we've been seeing on One for Your Lives were put there for this tour for a reason, to go into a speculative time where the plans are kind of up in the air. Because if something is planned, short notice,
Yeah.
screens are easy.
And now there's more to that interview, but I feel like it's important to cover a couple of other interviews that...
To wrap that part
Yeah,
up.
to wrap that bit up. So, there was an interview recently with Nico, and I don't know what it's on. I'm going to link it below in the description. I'll link this and the next... I'll link all the articles
We'll link
for
them
you.
all. So this is, I'm not sure exactly when this was, but it is very recent.
Yeah, within the last few months.
Yes. Where Nico is asked a little bit about two important subjects, which is kind of his retirement, and then even being asked directly about the rumors of Dave's retirement.
Yeah.
And so what he had to say about his own retirement and his plans, he said, to be very honest with you, when we made the Senjutsu record back in 2018, 2019, I thought that I would do the tour on that album and then I'd probably hang it up. And then knowing that the Run for Your Lives tour was coming up, at the time we didn't know that was the name of the tour, but I knew that in 2025 it would be the 50th anniversary of the band, and I thought, well, I'll come out of retirement for that if they want me. So back during the first runs of Legacy of the Beast, they knew that the Run for Your Lives tour was going to happen without the name, but they knew a 50-year anniversary, probably hits tour, was in the works 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So that's how long they've been planning some of these things. And it would kind of point to the fact that, well, maybe the year off had been planned even from back then.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, because we haven't planned on Legacy of the Beast or Future Past, and when he says Legacy of the Beast, he means the 2022 run. I don't think those tours were necessarily planned that way. It was all Senjutsu, and that was going to be over a 2-year world tour, and I thought that would do for me. So, and a lot of people know that the plan was, 2020 was going to be more Legacy of the Beast, do Australia, Japan, and then 2021 and 2 was going to be a Senjutsu World Tour. So I had it in my mind that I would probably retire after that tour, but then, of course, you know what happened. The wonderful, great pandemic hit and ruined all the best laid plans of a lot of businesses and people, personally as well as bands going out on tour. So that kind of put the spanner in the works, and it was decided that we would do the Legacy tour and not a Senjutsu album tour. It was going to be it would be like a mix of all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we did that, and then I had my stroke. So, we know what the plans were probably laid out to be, but to me it says there was, from Legacy of the Beast, at minimum, there was a plan to finish that tour, do a Senjutsu tour with a new album. That was obviously late in the works. Future Past tour was probably, being put together at the time.
I think it was probably would have just been a a straight up somewhere in
It
time.
would have been somewhere in time. It will be the same years, the 2023, 2024, somewhere in time retrospective tour, which I would have loved to see that version of it too.
Yeah. But without Nico.
That's true.
Because he would have
retired.
He would have likely gone through with his retirement plans.
This is
unless
the weird
he was
thing
feeling
about,
really chipper about it.
This is the weird thing about what happened in 2020 is it actually extended the life of this lineup a little bit, because he was going to retire in 2022 after the Senjutsu tour that never happened. He goes on to say, but there was the end of the Legacy tour, and then the Future Past tour came along, so the guys let me go with it, and they carried me on their shoulders, which is phenomenal. I'm so eternally grateful to each and every one of them for that, and our management team. So, it shows, again, long-term plans a little bit like that. And then he's asked specifically about the rumors of Dave Murray's retirement.
Because those have been going around again recently, if you guys haven't noticed. And the first time I noticed the specific ones that have been circulating started in 2022 during the...
when they came back.
Yeah, when they came back. And they all include the same thing of he just wants to spend more time with his family and his grandbaby.
Yeah, he's a grandfather now, and he wants to spend time with family and everything.
They all have that specific thing in common.
Right. And even back then, for the first, we're talking about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's been going around nonstop. And it's gotten to the point where, of course, people are blowing it off now because it's like, well, this many years has gone by and he's still playing with the band, so who cares anymore? But now it's starting to seem a little bit more like, well, maybe there's just a plan to retire and not necessarily an I want to stop now situation.
No, I was one to blow it off back then because I'm like, we go see the tour. It's like, oh, he looks happy. He would have quit if he wanted to quit. But hearing this interview is like, wow, And
just to put it into perspective, too, is back in 2018-19, Nico was planning his retirement. Mm-hmm. Is it really that insane for other members to be planning a retirement heading into your 70s? It's not that crazy. But so Nico went on to say, after being asked about the rumors of Dave's retirement, he said, well, yeah, we've all been away from our families, and Dave's family expanded. His daughter had a little baby boy, I believe, and he's a granddad, Nico said, and he's ensconced himself in Maui with his wife. And I talked to him about longevity and stuff and how physically demanding it is for us playing our kind of music. I think for anybody at our age, playing any kind of music is demanding, to be honest. But some are a little easier than others. We are high octane from start to finish. Nico continued, so I will probably say that in my opinion, I think that this is not likely to be the end. But I think if they do carry on, I know 2027 is a year off for them, and that's okay. That's all great. It seems like he just hit a wall there and was like, left turn. He said, if they do carry on, not when, if.
And that was coming out of just talking about Davey.
Just talking about Davey. So, and again, the rumors, we all know the reasons that Dave wants to retire in the rumors. When Nico is asked about this, he lists all those exact same reasons. And it's very odd. So
well, it shows that there's definitely was some truth all the way back when this started coming out.
Yeah.
But they're not like, oh yeah, he's gonna retire next year or he has his plan. It's like, I just think that this just confirms that there was truth in there. Somebody must have heard him say something and started yapping about it. But
yeah, and again, it could have been set years ago. Just because. Now we know Nico's retirement was planned from years ago.
If he was talking about it in 2019, he didn't end up retiring until 2024 in the end. That's years later.
And with not having a plan going forward that we know of, is it really that crazy for another member to have a similar retirement plan to another member that happens to hit when he's 70 years old? Is it that crazy? I don't think so. But moving on, and I just want to read that bit again. So I'll probably say, in my opinion, I think this is not likely to be the end, but I think if they do carry on, and then he's like, I know 2027 is a year off for him, and that's okay. That's all great. That's like sitting back for a year and going, oh, breathing time, back to family, but that's another year older.
See, this is one of those interviews that I want the audio version of because it was like the way that the Steve one was worded too, like just the way he stops his sentences and starts a new one, like it's hard when it's in transcribed like that, but when you hear it, like I want to hear this one. I need to go back later and see if there's an audio version of this.
So it's like, the year off is a great idea. And then, again, another left turn. Left Turn, and he says, but that's another year older. I mean, Harry will be 71. That's okay. I mean, I was 72 and I had my stroke, so age catches everybody up. Father Time, he's going to get you in the end. I just think with Davey, he's got more reason to want to be at home, perhaps. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years about ideas of retiring, so yeah, everybody's got their own thoughts about that, and I can't really speak to anybody else. That's about it for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's pretty direct about, we've talked about retirement in the past. Yeah. We've talked about how long can we actually do this. They could have been talking together about their individual retirement plans.
Right, because individual members would have, their
different
own
plans.
ideas. Like, Steve just wants to tour until he collapses on stage. And I respect that, but it's like other members, even if they're one of the most treasured and long-term members of the band, like, they have their own opinions.
They have their life that's moving forward, too. But it's just funny getting Nico up there to be. And by the way, this is another point. If there was no truth to the Dave retirement talk, they've had so many years to just give a layup answer of like, yeah, ask me that question and I'll just say, like, no, he's not retiring. He loves playing.
I would have imagined Nico would have said like, nah. He loves playing.
He loves playing. Yeah. He's a good boy, isn't he? But you know what I mean? Like, it's a layup answer to just be like, no, that's nonsense. Davey's still playing with us. He loves playing with us. And he probably does still love playing.
It's all just been so interesting. Like, I don't want it to come across like we're being negative and saying like the band is done and everything. Like, I genuinely have found all these interviews just riveting. Like,
captivating.
Like, captivating. Like, oh my god, I've never heard them like speaking like this before.
Because in the past, it's always just been, we're never retiring.
We
Nothing
love playing,
ever
never
gonna
retiring. Happen. It's all great. Like, I'm happy, Steve's happy, Dave's happy, everybody's happy.
And now we're just like, what is happening? And then we went back, and then you went back to a Bruce interview.
Well, it's weird. I couldn't find, like, the genesis of where this interview came from. But I remember, I think it was 2021, I remember something along the lines of Bruce coming out and doing an interview and saying like, yep, we've got plans through 2024, I think it was. And then later on, he did another interview saying like, yeah, I know what our plans are through 2026. And I remember being really excited.
I remember 2026
I was
being
like,
talked
okay, about. Cool, we've got Maiden solid
through 2026.
Solid through 2026. So the only place I could find is by scouring the forum, and it was hard because a lot of threads get deleted just for, storage space and stuff like that on the forum, so most of this stuff was gone. There was a Swedish website, it was all in Swedish, so I had to translate it. It's worded a little bit weird because of that. Yeah. But this was at the beginning of 2024, I think, like January. So in this interview, he's talking about what he's doing for the Mandrake Project Tour in 2024. This came out in January of 2024. And at the end of talking about what he's going to be doing that year for it, he says, I don't remember what I did 2 days ago, but I have a clear idea of everything I'm going to do until 2026, and that's quite a lot.
Right. So Bruce's schedule seems to stop at 2026.
At that point, it did. Because we know he's writing an album, or has written an album, and is putting it out with the Mandrake Project to tour next year.
Yeah.
But, that's the only evidence I could find after scouring of what I know I saw. Like, I remember being, like, relieved, because, we were all, like, a bit tense during the pandemic of, like, how long do we have left once this is all over to enjoy the band? And I remember seeing the number 2026 and being like, that's great.
Yeah, that's far out.
Yeah.
From back then.
Yeah.
But now we're here. We're about to hit the summer of 2026. They're about to do this tour that this is the last thing we know that's happening as of right now before a break. And so many people have talked about what this break actually means.
A lot of people think it's to write an album. I don't blame them. Like, if I felt a bit better about things, I might say the same thing, but just that Steve interview doesn't really bode the best for me in that regard. Like you said, we're not doing much, if anything. And then when he talks about, like, not doing anything next year, it sounds not like he's like, but I want to write an album. It's, no, but I want to tour.
Yes.
So I don't think he's going to be asking, do you guys want to write an album? I think, because, again, They plan things so far out that I feel like if there was an album, there'd have to be another 2-year tour after, if they're coming back in 2028, like they say, you would imagine if there's an album, there should be a tour.
And just to touch on that real quick, I think it was Nebworth where the end of that announcement they had mentioned, and this will be the last chance to see Iron Maiden until at least 2028. At least,
yeah,
is saying that it might be 2028 at minimum. It could be longer. I mean, it's not a definitive statement. It's not saying we have these shows in the bag.
Yeah, but I do think that, I think that if they come back and there's no new album, so there's no new two-year tour, I think that they're going to go with the screens and maybe do, festivals and stuff around Europe. I don't know that they're going to come back to, another 30 to 50 date tour,
Yes, and then there's the question of, will the lineup be exactly the same? Because, again, with everything we've just said about Dave's retirement and the rumors going around forever, I definitely am starting to think that there's some relevance to those talkings. So it is a question of, has this all run up to Run for Your Lives being the last thing planned, and then it's either somebody retires and they don't know what to do next, or is the year off to keep this lineup together and then just kind of reduce touring and do festival dates in 2028 and I don't know, more EdFest type stuff.
But no, going back to what I was saying is I would definitely see, if everything goes well, it's all still normal, I would see 2028 being European festivals. Because they play Europe a lot. And then I would see them doing maybe a couple nights at the O2 or a stadium show in England or something. So at least 2028. I just think they're not saying a definitive 2028 because they don't want to. They're Maiden. They don't give away their plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what. I don't know if there is a plan.
It's fun to think about. It's not good. It's not great, but it's just it's exhilarating to think about with just this is all just new unknown territory. Our usual is just oh look, the 2-year tour they always do, and what's the set list gonna be, and what's the stage gonna be like. This is some serious thinking material.
It seems like the broader fan base took the initial news of a year off as album. That was the first, which I thought too, kind of.
It would make sense in their usual, if this was their usual behavior and
they also
touring.
Even that wouldn't be normal because they never take a year off.
They don't
touring.
take a year off, but it would make sense.
Yeah, sure.
In more normal times, they also don't normally do these massive tours anymore that cover every market.
And that's another thing is, why are they squeezing so much in 2026?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you could say it's because 2027 they're doing nothing, but it does with it being a nostalgia tour with it's just hits and screens and all that, but with it just being that, it kind of seems like a retirement tour without the name attached.
Yeah.
At least with knowing who the lineup is and everything before it goes into kind of this period of
but
unknown.
I think that at this point, if they genuinely planned a retirement tour, they would tell. I know that Bruce and Steve always said nah, you'll never know when we retire, but
now they're getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But I feel with this tour, they would say something. They wouldn't be saying at least 2028 and stuff if it was this is the retirement tour. We're just being dicks and not telling anybody and just pretending we're having a year off,
Yeah, I couldn't.
And, believe it or not, that wasn't the end of that Steve interview.
There's even more. There's more.
We needed to pull off on a tangent because it's a completely different subject. We needed to pull off on a tangent and bring that Nico interview up and that Bruce interview. But he goes on to talk about the documentary.
Oh, the one that we were in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Steve Harris on Iron Maiden documentary Burning Ambition. Steve Harris says, well, actual fact, it wasn't us. It's about us, but not by us. That's the difference. So, it's a documentary, which they came to us with an idea that they wanted to do, and it changed a little bit from the original idea, but they were going to do it more about the fans, and it still is to a certain degree, but so yeah, it's not by us. And even though they wanted to use our artwork and everything, it seems like as if it's our documentary, it's not. It's basically, I think they really should have put up that, it's a documentary about Iron Maiden, not by Iron Maiden, because it's not us. We didn't have that control that we would have normally had if we were doing it ourselves, of course. Eddie Trunk says, but you obviously endorsed it and cooperated with it. You signed off on it. Steve Harris says, yeah, of course. Yeah, we cooperated with it, and we did interviews for it and all that stuff. We did what they wanted us to do. But if we'd have done it, I think we'd have done it in a slightly different way, and I'll say no more. But I still think the end result is, well, I'll say no more because it preempts whatever. I think people should just go and see it and see what they think. And when listening to the audio interview, he was like really having to stop himself there at the end.
If you would have told me that Steve Harris had that answer, I'd say there's no way. But
I don't even think, I don't know where the problem is coming from, because from the very beginning they said that Universal, let me go real quick and find the press release for when this came out.
Everybody knows that Universal is doing this, and that it's not like a Maiden specific release, but it's a very strange thing to say about something that was, clearly worked on together.
So this is from the 14th of March of last year, 2025. It says, Iron Maiden feature documentary announced for 2025. Universal Pictures Content Group announced official untitled Iron Maiden feature documentary in 2025, featuring exclusive interviews with band members past and present, never seen before footage, and brings our iconic mascot Eddie to life with spectacular animation.
My question is, what do they want Universal to do?
Well, I mean, Steve. What does Steve want? Because this doesn't, again, like Bruce's comments on the Rock Hall, don't represent the rest of the band. This is just Steve. But it's right here from the very beginning, the first line. Universal Pictures Content Group announced it has commenced production on an official, untitled Iron Maiden feature documentary, which we now know is Burning Ambition.
Yes.
And of course, the band is going to push it. If you go to the IMDb credits, Rod Smallwood, Dave Shack, and Andy Taylor are all in there as executive producers, which doesn't mean that much, but it's like,
it means they had a part in it.
The band was interviewed. So, involved. I mean, the point of, being I wish it was clear that, we didn't make the documentary, it's it's pretty clear. It says from the very beginning that Universal's the one who, is creating it.
But even beyond that, it just seems like he hates it. It just seems like he hates the documentary.
I got the same vibe when I read it. I'm like, well, he doesn't like the documentary one bit.
Yeah, he saw the trailer. He saw me at the end, and he was like, nah, this is shit.
Well, it's everybody talks about, why don't they do the history of Iron Maiden Part 4, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, why don't they do Part 4? What comes after Part 3? The 90s. I just don't think he wants to talk about the 90s. And it's clear from the trailer that they talk about the 90s. And, just kind of, I feel like they're Universal. They probably dramatized it a bit.
Well, that's how you make interesting content. And it's for, obviously Maiden fans know the story, but this is also targeted at people that don't know Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And how to drag them in. Hey, I want a story. There has to be conflict. There has to be, interesting scenarios that happen. It can't just be, I made a band and it was the best thing ever, and we were just great for 50 years.
No, it just sounds like maybe he was more under the impression that it was just going to be a documentary about the fans, and it was probably more documentary about the band than the fans.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course it's about the band. I mean,
you know what I mean? There was probably less fan involvement than he thought, and more dramatized story of Iron Maiden. But yeah, I mean, especially listening to it, if you guys get the chance to listen to it, if you find the link or you have SiriusXM, it's definitely interesting.
Well, he's trying to distance himself from the documentary, basically. Which I thought was a crazy move, just a couple weeks before it comes out. So, I mean, I'll say no more. I'll take Steve on that.
No, he clearly has an opinion on it. I will say that. And it doesn't sound like a positive opinion. But, you know, I read comments from some people that, like, maybe that's a good thing because, you know, it's good to not have, you know...
A single person's full-on control is usually not a good thing.
And, like, to have an outside party, you know, tell the story to the best of their ability and not try to, like, you know, well, we're just not going to talk about that era or when this happened. Or...
Flight 666 was made by Banger Films.
Yeah, but Phantom was involved, too.
Of course they were involved.
And it was documenting a tour rather than telling a story of a band. But yeah, obviously, like, I will judge this documentary once I've seen it. And I'll try not to be biased, of course.
Right.
But Flight 666 will always be the Iron Maiden documentary for me. Like, always. Like, there's just... Sam Dunn, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You blessed the
He was
world
the first
with
to
that.
get in there and be behind the scenes Iron Maiden stuff. Nobody had seen it before.
Yeah.
But this isn't about behind the scenes Iron
No, this
Maiden
is just
stuff.
telling the story, and I just think that he might not like the way that they told it.
I think it went into topics that he would rather not discuss. But at this point, these things happened like 30, 40 years ago.
People have been jonesing for this part 4 for, like, so many years now. Like, I don't even know when the last one came out.
Yeah. And it's like, even, I mean, people even had an issue with my line that they ended up using. And just so you know, like, I don't remember a single thing I said for that filming day. So it's like, they could have just pieced that together. I have no idea.
Either, and that scares me because it's like, oh, at least you know, like, one thing that you said. It's like,
But some people took it as, you know, I mean, obviously, Universal put that trailer together and puts the general feel of it out. But people were thinking that my line was either me or them saying that, like, and Blaze Bayley was terrible, and then the band became great again after Bruce and Adrian came back. But I mean, it's Universal. Like, I don't know how many massive Maiden fans they have that is like that are working on the project that's like, actually Virtual Eleven is my favorite Maiden album. Like, it's gonna go with the general populace feelings about what was popular and what wasn't for Iron Maiden.
It wasn't like a dig at Blaze either. Like,
No.
the whole narrative they were pushing is like, ooh, grunge is in and metal is out, and all the bands were struggling at that point. So, you know, it was rock bottom for a lot of people.
It was rock bottom for like every 80s metal band except Metallica. But
they gotta put out some bangers in the 90s.
Yeah, right. Pantera was doing alright too.
And Judas Priest, Painkiller.
Yeah. So documentary, big thumbs down from from the boss.
Cheers, no thanks.
Yeah, but we'll go see it anyway.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we think. But yeah, lots of strange, differing things happening with Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And we'll see kind of what the future holds at this point.
Yeah, it's all very riveting and strange and sad in its own ways, but like,
but don't count anything out.
No.
Because anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not counting out, like, sure, they could write an album. Maybe Steve's like, hey, you guys want to tour next year? And I say, hell no. And he's like, okay, well, can we compromise? Maybe we write an album, and maybe they go...
And they'll be like, hell no. They'll be like, no, we'll do another documentary, though. And I'll make it this time.
Dave Murray documentary.
Make it.
No, it's a Dave Murray documentary.
Steve could make that.
Yeah.
Steve could make the Dave Murray
about
documentary.
his favorite things in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. They release it on the day of his retirement announcement.
Just him on the beach with the thing, like, oh, hello there. Anyways, we did not intend to talk for nearly an hour, so I apologize, but I think we should probably end it there. I don't have anything else to say.
No, just let us know in the comments. Everything we said was bullshit. Let us know
how much you hate us.
How much you hate us. How much you hate the documentary.
I'm sorry. I can't not be honest, and I can't not talk about this because it's just too interesting. Yeah, it's too interesting.
We're locked in. We're watching. I'm waiting for the next interview. Let's go.
Yeah, so wrapping this up, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. If you did, thank you to our Patreon members for their support, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
That'll do, won't it?